My story, yeah, I mean, was born and raised in Vancouver, British Columbia, just 20 minutes outside of Vancouver. And yeah, grew up and financially poor. So, I mean, a lot of people can probably relate to that. Didn't really grow up with much. And as at the age of 4, my dad decided to take off. And so I grew up in a single parent household with two other brothers. And my mom did all the heavy lifting of raising us, working two full-time jobs to get us to where we are. And we had to go through the struggles, right? The first struggle that I had to go through was just, getting through school. How do you get through school without, being teased or somebody commenting on your situation? So I always had like these little things in the back of my mind, like, hey, I hope nobody says anything because I have no dad. I hope nobody says anything to me because I have no money. And it was a type of, kind of situation where I couldn't really afford to go to lunch with my friends. I didn't have, $2, $3 to spend on French fries or something, right? There was just nothing there. And so, that was part of my journey growing up. I think a lot of it played into my roles in employment as I got older. Because again, you don't really value yourself. You're more appreciative of any situation, any job opportunity that you get. Jobs back when I started weren't really easy to come by, but somehow I was always able to find a job. And yeah, I was just always appreciative of that situation. My first goal was just to finish my schooling off. After grade 12, I had a little bit of scholarship money that I had accumulated from school, but just to get you through like maybe one semester, maybe two, right? So you kind of had to figure out how you had to work and then how you had to survive and pay off your schooling. So that was one of my first challenges. After that, right, it was more about yeah, just saving up to get married and to have a family, have a house, a car, all these sort of things that you kind of, as a young person, you just dream about having. And for me, very basic dreams, and I couldn't really dream of, something major or crazy, but it was all about, okay, how do I just survive? And how do I just move forward? And yeah, through that journey, I ended up in a few different careers, mostly in transportation and logistics related. So I worked for a couple different employers and was able to have quite a bit of growth in the beginning of any of those companies. Anywhere I went, we not even like double the size of those companies that I was working at, but it was usually like exponentially, like in the thousands of percentiles within a short amount of time. And so I realized that, hey, there's a formula that seems to be working here. And something would always happen at one of the employers, whether, there was like dishonesty or I didn't feel like I was being valued or respected, which caused me to move to different companies. Finally, I had so many bad experiences. I ended up opening up my own company and just said, hey, I just need peace of mind and I just need to work honestly and ethically without any interference. And so I opened up with a different partner and just said, hey, we can open up a company together as long as, I get full authority over it and you get to do it my way. And that was it. And that was just, that led to my first company. I did a couple other ventures after that and have always been in entrepreneurship and in different aspects. Logistics is one, software is another one, course building is another one. So again, different industries that we've been attached to, and even through logistics, we get to deal with so many different type of industries as well. So again, people have always come to me for help with building their businesses, and people have always asked me to train their children or other people. So they always saw me as a resource, and that's how we kind of created logisticsales.com.
Wow. There's like so much to unpack here. Before we get into like your logistics sales, your company and everything, I want to touch on a little bit with your childhood. As you said you grew up
Mhm.
with a single mother in a single family household. What was navigating that like to grow up without a father? What was that experience like, and what helped you navigate that process?
Definitely a difficult part of my childhood for sure. I felt like I really missed out on a lot of things. It was to the point where we didn't really ask my mom for any money. We weren't allowed to work because we were on financial assistance. And so you're kind of hiding in the background. And you just, the only thing that kept me going every day was, my time will come. And I knew that my future wasn't the future that I had right now at the moment, but there was something coming in the future. And still like we had a lot of love around us. And this is something I realized afterwards, is like there was so much love that was in my life from, family members, even brothers, mom, friends. And so, yeah, I mean, we still got to play, and we used to play outside in the cul-de-sac, and with our hockey sticks, and yeah, so we still kind of got to enjoy some stuff, but there's a lot of things that kind of couldn't do. And like I said, it was one of those things where I just kind of held in my heart that these things are going to come to fruition in my future, and they did. So much more came in that future. But again, it was just getting through those tough times, a little bit, right? I mean, there's so many people that go through similar situations or even worse that, I'm still going to say, like, we're very fortunate to live in North America, where we do have government programs, we do have government assistance. And yeah, that it's first world problems, right? Is the way to kind of look at it. But so fortunate that we live in this type of society. And to tell you the truth, I believe there's a higher power that also looks after us as we're growing up, through those situations. And yeah, I don't think I was the only person growing up like that. I believe there was many others, and we all just kind of kept it quiet. And the good thing about growing up with children, they don't look at you any different. And that was one of the things that I really appreciated growing up. I never saw, color as being a difference. I never saw people being different from each other. And so we kind of grew up together in that type of society. And yeah, I mean, it was all about education, sports. Um, yeah. And, my mom was pretty strict, so I didn't really go out after hours too much, but unless it was just, related to sports or anything else. But yeah, I mean, we were fortunate to get saved from some of the negative stuff that happens in society as well.